Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Virye Nashtavrayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So yesterday we discussed how Balramji killed Pralambasura. Now his name was Pralambasura because he was very tall. He was the tallest demon in the whole group of demons. So that's why his name was Pralambasura. So in the previous life, once the Yaksha king Kuvera wanted to worship Lord Shiva and thus ordered his Yaksha servants to prepare a special flower arrangement called a Raksha amulet and to place these throughout his forest. Someone stole some of these flowers and this caused Kuvera to speak a curse. He said, any demigod or human that takes away any of these flowers will become a demon. A Gandharva named Vijay, the son of Huhu, was walking on pilgrimage to different holy places while chanting the glories of Lord Vishnu with a veena in hand. One day he came to Kuvera's forest and being unaware of the curse of Kuvera, picked some of the Sumana flowers which were placed by the Yakshas for Kuvera's worship of Lord Shiva. Due to the curse, he immediately became a demon, Pralamba. Seeing his condition, he immediately took shelter of great soul Kuvera, bowed down before him and presented an appeal for mercy. Kuvera became pleased with this presentation and blessed him. He said that the Gandharva was a peaceful-hearted devotee of Vishnu and thus he should not lament. At the end of the Dwapar Yuga, in the Bhandirvan forest, by the shore of Yamuna, he would attain liberation by the hands of Lord Balram. So in this way, the Gandharva attained liberation by the grace of Kuvera. Now, what does this Pralambasura represent? So Pralambasura represents lust for the opposite sex and the desire for profit, adoration, and distinction. So these anarthas are definitely very, very big in our heart. That's why he was very tall demon, Pralamba. Because these desires are there, profit, adoration, and distinction, and lust for the opposite sex. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in this connection, lusty attractions for opposite sex, greed for money, desire for sense gratification, inclinations for increasing one's honor and false prestige, the desire for being worshipped. These are all certainly very strong obstacles and are very difficult to overcome. But if one understands that they are very detrimental for one's development in Krishna consciousness, one will try very enthusiastically to cast them out. If one endeavors in a very humble mood, Krishna will certainly show his mercy. Then upon the awakening of the mood of Sri Baladev in the devotee's heart, these contaminations will instantly be removed. The methods of the process of purification are very deep and mysterious. Therefore, it is necessary to learn about them directly from a bona fide spiritual master. So, profit, adoration, distinction. I call it iPad, P-A-D. So, Pralambasura represents that. And we have to pray to Lord Balram. Please give me the strength to remove this from my heart. As long as these are there, we cannot attain love for Krishna. It's very difficult. And very difficult to remove these also. We want somebody to honor us. Mahaprabhu says, Amanina Manadena. And here in our heart, the desire for honor, sense gratification, greed for money, everything is there. Desire for being worshipped. Yes, everybody should honor me. I'm such a big devotee. I'm initiated. I'm second initiated. I've been chanting for 20-some years. Everybody should come to me, pay respects, pay obeisances to me. And we should see Pralambasura is taking his stroll in our heart. So we have to study, read these pastimes daily actually. And then slowly, these anarthas will go away. So let's start the next chapter, chapter 19, swallowing the forest fire. So it's second forest fire. First he swallowed after he killed Kalia or chastised Kalia. Then again forest fire happened. Shri Shukuvacha Krida Sakteshu Gopeshu Tadgavo Durachachini Swaram Charantyo Vivishus Trina Lobhen Gahavaram. Shukdev Goswami said, while the cowherd boys were completely absorbed in playing, the cows wandered far away. They hungered for more grass, and with no one to watch them, they entered a dense forest. Ajagavo Maheshyascha Nirvishantyo Vanadvanam Ishikatvim Nirvivishu Krandantyo Davatarshitaha. Passing from one part of the great forest to another, the goats, cows, and buffalo eventually entered an area overgrown with sharp canes. The heat of a nearby forest fire made them thirsty, and they cried out in distress. Teya Pashanta Pashunagopa Krishna Rama Dayastata Jata Nutapa Navidur Vichinvanto Gavam Gatim. Not seeing the cows before them, Krishna, Ram, and the cowherd friends suddenly felt repentant for having neglected them. The boys searched all around but could not discover where they had gone. Trinastat Kurat Sinner, Koshpadar Ankiter Gavam, Margaman Anmagaman Sarve, Nashta Jivaya Vichetasaha. Then the boys began tracing out the cow's path by noting their hoof prints and the blades of grass the cows had broken with their hoofs and teeth. All the cowherd boys were in great anxiety because they had lost their source of livelihood. Munjatavyam Brashtamargam Krandamanam Swagodhanam Samprapya Trishita Shrantas Tataste Sanya Vartayan. Within the Munja forest, the cowherd boys finally found the valuable cows who had lost their way and were crying. Then the boys, thirsty and tired, herded the cows onto the path back home. So they found their cows. Ta hota bhagavata mega gambhiraya gira swanamnam niradam shrutva prati nedu prakarshita. The Supreme Personality of God had called out to the animals in a voice that resounded like a rumbling cloud. Hearing the sound of their own names, the cows were overjoyed and called out to the Lord in reply. Tada samantadav dhumketur yatrichhyat yadithriya bhut kshe kridha nokasam samirita sarathinol banal mukher vileli hana sthirajangaman mahan. Suddenly, a great forest fire appeared on all sides, threatening to destroy all the forest creatures. Like a chariot driver, the wind swept the fire onward, and terrible sparks shot in all directions. Indeed, the great fire extended its tongues of flame toward all moving and unmoving creatures. Just as Krishna, Balaram, and the cowherd boys were about to take their cows back home, the forest fire, previously mentioned, raged out of control and surrounded all of them. Damapatantam parito davagnim, the Gopasha Gava prasamiksha bhita, uchushcha Krishnam sabalam prapanna, yata hari mrityu bhayartita janaha. As the cows and cowherd boys started at the forest fire attacking them on all sides, they became fearful. The boys then approached Krishna and Balaram for shelter, just as those who had disturbed the fear of death approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The boys addressed them as follows. See, this is boys. First, they are playing with him, with Krishna and Balaram, and yesterday we saw how Krishna lost, and he had to carry Sridham on his shoulders. They were friends. And now any problem happens, they just approach Krishna Balaram. That's it, for shelter. Krishna, Krishna Mahavira, He Rama Moga Vikram, Davagnina Dayamana, Prapannastratum Arhata. Coward boy said, "O Krishna, most powerful one, O Rama, you whose prowess never fades, please save your devotees who are about to be burned by this forest fire and have come to take shelter of you." Nunam tvad vandhva Krishna nacharhanti avasaditum vayam hi sarva dharmagya tvannathas tvatparayana. Krishna, certainly your own friends shouldn't be destroyed. O knower of the nature of all things, we have accepted you as our Lord, and we are souls surrendered unto you. Shri Shukavacha vacho nishamya kripanam bandhunam bhagwan hari nimilayat ma bhashta lochnani iti abhashata. Shukdev Goswami said, hearing these pitiful words from his friends, the Supreme Lord Krishna told them, just close your eyes and do not be afraid. This verse clearly reveals a simple, sublime relationship between Krishna and his pure devotees. The absolute truth that Supreme Almighty Lord is actually a young, blissful, cowherd boy named Krishna. God is youthful and his mentality is playful. When he saw that his beloved friends were terrified of the forest fire, he simply told them to close their eyes and not be afraid. Then Lord Krishna acted as described in the next verse. Tatheti militakshesu bhagwan agnim ulbanam pitva mukhena tan kricharat yoga dhisho vyamochayat. All right, the boys replied and immediately closed their eyes. Then the Supreme Lord, the master of all mystic power, opened his mouth and swallowed the terrible fire, saving his friends from danger. The cowherd boys were suffering from extreme fatigue, hunger, and thirst, and were about to be consumed by a horrible forest fire. All this is indicated here by the word Kricharat. So he just opened his mouth, Krishna just opened his mouth and swallowed the forest fire. Tatashchate kshinya unmilya punarbhandiram apitaha neshamya vismitaha asan atmanam gascha moditaha. Cowherd boys opened their eyes and were amazed to find not only that they and the cows had been saved from the terrible fire, but they had all been brought back to the Bhandir tree. Krishnasya yoga viryam tad yoga maya anubhavit tavagneratmana kshemam vikshate me nireyamaram. When the cowherd boys saw that they had been saved from the forest fire by the Lord's mystic power, which is manifested by his internal potency, they began to think that Krishna must be a demigod. He must be some deva. The cowherd boys of Vrindavan simply loved Krishna as their only friend and exclusive object of devotion. To increase their ecstasy, Krishna displayed to them his mystic potency and saved them from a terrible forest fire. The cowherd boys could never give up their ecstatic, loving friendship with Krishna. Therefore, rather than considering Krishna to be God, after they saw his extraordinary power, they thought that perhaps he was a demigod. But since Krishna was their beloved friend, they were on the same level with him, and thus they thought that the two must be demigods. In this way, Krishna's cowherd friends became overwhelmed with ecstasy. See, he is not treated as God in Vrindavan. Ga sanne vartya sayane saha Rama janardana venum viranayan goshtam agad gopar abhishtataha. It was now late in the afternoon and Lord Krishna, accompanied by Balram, turned the cows back toward home. Playing his flute in a special way, Krishna returned to the cowherd village in the company of his cowherd friends who chanted his glories. Gopinam Paramananda Asit Govinda Darshan Kshanam Yuga Shatam Eva Yasam Yena Vina Bhavat. The young gopis took the greatest pleasure in seeing Govinda come home, since for them even a moment without his association seemed like 100 ages. After saving the cowherd boys from the blazing forest fire, Krishna saved the cowherd girls from the blazing fire of separation from him. The gopis, headed by Srimati Radharani, have the greatest love for Krishna. Even a single moment separation from him seems like millions of years to them. The gopis are the greatest devotees of God, and their specific pastime with Krishna will be described later in this work. So, greatest devotees. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appreciated the mood of the gopis. But here, the beauty is, Shukdev Goswami never takes any names. He only talks gopis, gopikas. He doesn't take their name, who is doing what. But this is a special relationship of Krishna and the gopis. So the second forest fire, so thus ends this 19th chapter. So second forest fire represents the attack of atheism and other antagonistic philosophies on Krishna consciousness. Srila Sanatana Goswami says that some people say that forest fire was a friend of Pralambasura. So he started the forest fire. He wanted to kill everybody. But Krishna, who can kill Krishna? And when Krishna is there, who can kill his cows and cowherd friends? So this represents the attack of atheism. Sometimes we develop some atheistic tendencies or antagonistic philosophies. Now, how is it this possible and that possible? No. So we have to, so just few verses of this chapter, if we read, all those philosophies will just go away. All those anarthas will go away from our heart. So we still have time, so we can start the next chapter, chapter 20, the rainy season and autumn in Vrindavan. Shri Shukavacha tayostadadbhutam karma davagnir mokshamatmana gopastribhya samachakshyu pralamba vadam evacha. Shukdev Goswami said to the ladies of Vrindavan, the cowherd boys, and related in full detail Krishna's and Balram's wonderful activities of delivering them from the forest fire and killing the demon Pralamba. Gopa Vrinthascha Gopyascha Tad Upakarnya Vismita Menire Deva Pravaro Krishna Ramo Vrajam Gato. The elder cowherd men and ladies were amazed to hear this account, and they concluded that Krishna and Balram must be exalted demigods who had appeared in Vrindavan. So wonderful pastimes they're performing, and especially killing of so many demons. So Brajvasis thought there must be some demigods. Tatah pravartat pravrit sarva sattva samudbhava vidyotaman paridhir visfurjitan bhastanabhastala. Then the rainy season began, giving life and sustenance to all living beings. The sky began to rumble with thunder, and lightning flashed on the horizon. Chandra Neelam Budar Vyoma Savidyut Stan Yitnubhi Aspashta Jyotirachannam Brahmeva Sagunam Babho. The sky was then covered by dense blue clouds accompanied by lightning and thunder. Thus the sky and its natural illumination are covered in the same way that the spirit soul is covered by the three modes of material nature. Lightning is compared to the mode of goodness, thunder to the mode of passion, and the clouds to the mode of ignorance. Thus the cloudy sky at the onset of rainy season is analogous to the pure spirit soul when he becomes disturbed by the modes of nature. For at that time he is covered, and his original brilliant nature is only dimly reflected through the haze of the material qualities. So on this chapter, the rainy season and autumn in Vrindavan, there's a whole book that Prabhupada has written. It's called Light of the Bhagavad. Actually, Prabhupada was asked to come to Japan for some seminar or some meeting, even before he started ISKCON. So before going to Japan, they asked him to give some title of what he's going to speak on. So he researched, even at that age and at that time where there was no internet, no computers. So he researched and he saw that Japanese people are very close to nature. So they love nature. So that's when he chose this chapter of rainy season and autumn in Vrindavan, and he wrote his book, Light of the Bhagavad. Very well written, and exactly what we are seeing here. And he compared to how a living entity gets covered over by the three modes of nature, and how Krishna helps, and this and that. It's a beautiful book. Well, let's go through this chapter, and maybe if we get chance, we'll read that book also, Light of the Bhagavad. So sky was uncovered. So he compared sky with the spirit soul, and it gets covered over by material modes of nature. So dense blue clouds, he said that's mode of ignorance. Lightning is mode of goodness, and thunder is a mode of passion. And in that way, there is only brilliant nature is dimly reflected through the haze of material qualities. So this is what, however, our soul gets covered over, and sometimes, occasionally, it gets dimly reflected. So next time we see clouds in the sky, we can remember this analogy that Prabhupada gave. Ashto masa nipitam yad bhumya chodmayam vasu swagobhir mohtum bhare me mare bhe parjanya kala agate. With its rays, the sun had for 8 months drunk up the earth's wealth in the form of water. Now that the proper time had arrived, the sun began releasing this accumulated wealth. The Acharyas compare the sun's evaporating the earth's wealth of water to a king's collecting taxes. In chapter 20 of Krishna book, Prabhupada explains this analogy as follows. Clouds are accumulated water drawn from the land by the sunshine. Continually for 8 months, the sun evaporates all kinds of water from the surface of the globe. And this water is accumulated in the shape of clouds, which are distributed as water when there is need. Similarly, the government exacts various taxes from the citizens, such as income tax and sales tax, and we can say GST or whatever taxes, which are distributed as water when there is need. Similarly, a government exacts various taxes from the citizens, such as, sales which the citizens are able to pay by their different material activities, agriculture, trade, industry, and so on. This taxation is compared to the sun's drawing water from the earth. And when there is again need of water on the surface of the globe, the same sunshine, so sunshine evaporates water from earth, and same sunshine converts the water into clouds. So water gets converted into clouds and distributes it all over the globe. Similarly, the taxes collected by the government must be distributed to the people again as educational work, public work, sanitation work, and so on. This is very essential for a good government. The government should not simply exact taxes for useless squandering. The tax collection should be utilized for the public welfare of the state. So this is how the rainy season or rains has been compared to government extracting taxes and taking care of the public again by the different public welfare activities. Tadi dvanto mahamegha chanda shwasan vepitaha prinanam jivanam hiyasya Mumuchu Karunaiva. Flashing with lightning, great clouds were shaken and swept away, swept about by fierce winds. Just like merciful persons, the clouds gave their lives for the pleasure of this world. Just as great, compassionate personalities sometimes give their lives of wealth for the happiness of society, the rain clouds poured down their rain upon the parched earth. Although the clouds were thus dissipated, they freely provided rainfall for the happiness of the earth. See, if the clouds give up all the water in the form of rain, there are no more clouds. They basically die or dissipate away. But this is what they do for the happiness of earth. In Krishnamurti Prabhupada's comments as follows: during the rainy season, there are strong winds blustering all over the country and carrying clouds from one place to another to distribute life-giving water to the needy living entities. Water is urgently needed after the summer season, and thus the clouds are just like a rich man who, in times of need, distributes his money even to the point of exhausting his whole treasury. So the clouds exhaust themselves by distributing water all over the surface of the globe. When Maharaj Dasharatha, the father of Lord Ramchandra, used to fight with his enemies, it was said that he approached them just like a farmer uprooting unnecessary plants and trees. And when there was need of giving charity, he used to distribute money exactly as a cloud distributes rain. The distribution of rain by clouds is so sumptuous that it is compared to the distribution of wealth by a great, munificent person. The clouds' downpour is so profuse that the rains even fall on rocks and hills and on the oceans and seas, where there is no need for water. The clouds resemble a charitable person who opens his treasury for distribution and does not discriminate whether the charity is needed or not. He gives in charity open-handedly. Metaphorically speaking, the lightning in rain clouds is light by which they see the distressed condition of the earth, and the blowing winds are their heavy breathings, such as that found in a distressed person. Distressed to see the condition of the earth, the clouds tremble in the wind like a compassionate person. Thus they pour down their rain. Nice smile or nice analogy has been given. So the clouds, they see the distress of the condition of earth or people, and they pour down rain so that everybody can grow the crops and they be relieved of the great heat at the time of summer by this wind or by this rain. So similarly, a munificent or a charitable person should do that way, should work like that, or our government should work like that. Exacting taxes 8 months or whatever time, and then when the people are in need, they should take care of them. So I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Prabhuji, are you playing Holi today?
What's that?
Are you playing Holi today?
No. We don't have a holiday today. It's Holi day,
No,
but
not
it's not holiday.
The Holi is I mean, is it played tomorrow by the Indian community there, or I think it's tomorrow.
In one of the temples, yes, but in ISKCON temple, they playing Holi is done in the summertime when the weather is okay. I know it's still little cooler here.
Once again, Prabhuji, happy Holi.
प्रभुजी हमारे यहाँ पे साउथ वेस्ट में स्प्रिंग स्टार्ट हो गई है.
Yeah, in Dallas, Houston, yes, but not here in
we have reached 70 degrees already.
Yeah, here it's 57.
I know.
Can't have
So,
Holi.
but,
But anyway, in summertime they will organize. I know. Temple
Hmm.
organize. Chalo, so you all enjoy Holi festival. Enjoy, and
Thank you,
all have a
Prabhu.
safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Thank you.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you.